Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a paradox that, honestly, affects pretty much everyone. Why is it so ridiculously hard to break a bad habit? We're going to explore a pretty radical idea that the very effort you put into escaping might be the thing that's keeping you locked inside. So let's start with a feeling we all know, right? You've got that one habit. Maybe it's scrolling on your phone, maybe it's procrastination, maybe something heavier. You know it's not helping you. You genuinely want to stop, but somehow the cycle just keeps going. It's an incredibly frustrating and universal human struggle. And what's the usual advice we get? You know the drill. Just fight it. Use more willpower. We're told to basically declare war on ourselves, to resist and fight harder. It's framed as a battle of you versus the impulse. Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. The source material for this explainer asks a really provocative question. What if that internal battle, that constant fighting, is actually what's forging the bars of your own cage? To really understand this trap, we first gotta look at the invisible engine that's running the whole show. It's a concept that the source refers to as our basic, fundamental commitment to escapism. So let's just redefine escapism for a minute. According to the source, it's not some character flaw, it's not you being weak, it's a deep, powerful, almost instinctual drive to avoid suffering. They call it a fundamental operating principle, or FOP. Think of it like this, it's our factory default setting. And this leads us right to the heart of the problem. If our default setting is to escape pain, what in the world happens when we try to escape that very setting? Well, you get what the source calls the escapist's paradox. Think about it. When you use willpower to fight an urge, what are you actually doing? You're trying to escape the discomfort of the urge. So the fight against escapism becomes just another form of escapism. You haven't changed the underlying process at all. You just swapped what you're running from. It's the same old game. It's kind of like trying to put out a fire with a bucket of gasoline. The very tool you're using to get out of the loop is the thing that locks the door behind you. And you see this play out in the real world all the time. Someone quits one bad habit, only to immediately pick up another one. That's symptom substitution. Or maybe they stop the behavior, but they're still just as restless, irritable, and unhappy, the dry drunk phenomenon. They've just rearranged the furniture, you know? They're still living in the exact same house, playing by the exact same rules. So why does this pressure to escape get so intense in the first place? To get a handle on that, the source gives us this really powerful and, frankly, unforgettable visual metaphor. Meet the fuck it bucket. Just imagine you have this container inside you, and throughout your life, it slowly fills up with unresolved emotional pain. It comes from two main places, grief and loss on one side, and damage to your self-esteem on the other. Every hurt, every little disappointment, it adds a little more water to the bucket. Now, this is absolutely crucial. Our fundamental operating principle, that deep commitment to escaping pain, actually determines the size of our bucket. The more we try to avoid pain, the smaller our capacity to hold it becomes. The source says for many of us, it's only thimble-sized. A thimble, it doesn't take much at all for that to overflow. And when that bucket overflows, that's the fuck it moment. That's when the compulsive drive kicks in, anything to get a little temporary relief. But here's the vicious cycle. That act of escaping, the drinking, the yelling, the binge-watching, it just creates more grief, more loss, more shame. And all of that new pain, it gets dumped right back into the bucket, filling it up even faster for next time. Okay, so the big takeaway here is that fighting back, trying to manage the symptoms, it's all just rearranging the furniture. It's never going to work. To really, truly break free, we need a completely different kind of change. The source makes this brilliant distinction between superficial, content-based change and deep, transformational change. Superficial change is just swapping one escape route for another. Transformational change, that has nothing to do with the specific habit. It's about changing the entire underlying process. It's a total shift in your relationship with your own inner world. It's not rearranging furniture, it's moving to a new house entirely. So this brings us to the actual way out of the maze, the only way to really dismantle the trap. And it requires a pretty radical decision to become what the source calls a non-escapist. So if fighting is the trap and running away is the trap, then what's left? How do you actually get out of this thing? The answer is so beautifully counterintuitive. You stop fighting, you stop running, you actually turn around and face what's inside you. Instead of trying to push your feelings away, you allow them. You let them be there. The source suggests you become like an anthropologist, studying a new culture. You observe your own inner world with genuine interest, with curiosity, not with judgment. You start to move toward the pain, not away from it. And that's the ultimate paradox of this whole thing. True victory doesn't come from winning the war against yourself. It comes from laying down your weapons and realizing there was never a war to be won in the first place, only an experience to be lived. And this is what that transformational recovery actually looks like. It is not a life without pain. Notice how feelings like fear and sadness are still right there. The massive difference is the capacity to hold them. Your tolerance, your bucket is so much bigger now that you can experience deep joy and interest at the same time as significant pain without that compulsive urge to bolt for the door. So we'll end with this thought to chew on. Maybe this entire struggle we have with our habits, with ourselves, is built on a totally wrong assumption. What if the whole point of life isn't to somehow engineer a pain-free existence, but to find a purpose, a meaning that's so big and profound that it makes room for all of it? The good, the bad, the painful, the joyful, a life that's finally big enough to hold it all.